In this video, we'll discuss how to name monatomic ions. Elements are divided into three different categories: metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. Metals tend to lose electrons to become positively charged. We call those cations. Nonmetals tend to gain electrons to become negatively charged. Those are called anions. And this happens because atoms need 8 valence electrons to be stable. In the example of fluorine, you have 7 valence electrons. It gains 1 to become negatively charged. So when that happens, we change the name from fluorine to fluoride. You have to do this with all of the nonmetals. Metals are different because they lose electrons to become positively charged. So metals donate electrons to become positively charged. We call those cations. And if you look at lithium, if you have a neutral lithium atom, we call it lithium. But if you have a lithium cation, we still call it lithium. You might say a lithium cation or you might say a lithium ion, but it's still lithium. We don't change the name. We don't change the ending. We don't add a prefix or a suffix or anything like that. We just call it lithium. Now there's kind of an exception to this, and those are the transition metals. And the transition metals, it's hard to predict the charge because you know the main group elements, you know that they'll, group 1 will tend to donate 1 electron, or group 2A will tend to donate 2 electrons, but the transition metals, they're not as predictable. And not only do they have different charges, like within one group, they might have different charges, but many of these have more than one possible charge. So let's look at this chart. Notice this column, Hg 2 plus, Ni 2 plus, Cd 2 plus. There's only one possible charge for these atoms right here, for these elements. But look at Fe, a 2 plus and a 3 plus. Copper, a 1 plus and a 2 plus. Gold, a 1 plus and a 3 plus. So a lot of these transition metals have more than one charge. And not only do they have more than one charge, they actually look different and have different properties. So we have to name them accordingly. And so let's categorize these. The transition metals that only have one possible charge, they're very easy to name because you just look at the periodic table and you name it. For example, Ag is silver. But how about copper? You see there's 2 different charges for copper. One of these charges has a positive 1 charge, the other one is a positive 2. So if it's positive 1, we call that copper 1. If it has a positive 1 charge, it's copper 1. If it has a positive 2 charge, it's called copper 2. Now notice the Roman numerals, that's for copper 1 and copper 2, but silver does not get Roman numerals because, again, silver only has 1 charge. So all of these only have 1 possible charge, but then all of these you have to name with Roman numerals.